going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another week of Best Bets and Props. This one's for the pay-per-view this Saturday, UFC 279, Chimaev versus Diaz, a 5-round, very strange headliner at welterweight. So I'm never one to complain about fights. I know some people are not happy with the strength, name value-wise, of this pay-per-view. There's fights on a Saturday. I'm going to show up. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to watch it. So I'm going to make some money doing it, too. I'm on a 5 UFC event win streak, you guys. A clean sweep last week at UFC Paris. 5 money lines all cashed. 4 props all cashed. Up over 8.5 units on that. Couldn't be happier with this win streak. So this week I got 6 money lines. Very money line heavy this week. Props, I got 4 of those as well. 2 of those are on the main event. Last night I had a live stream, one of my favorite live streams ever, because I got to have one of my influences on YouTube and even starting this whole content creation game. Uncle Weezy is one of the guys who got me into it. He was on my stream, we hung out, drank some tequila, and went over all of our opinions on the 13 fights, giving out a prop for each one. And I thought I'd be talked down to more props, but he kind of reaffirmed my opinions on the ones I had, and also talked me off of making new bets. So I'm already deep on the money lines. I don't want to complicate things with too many props, but go ahead and watch that stream. It's a really fun time with one of the greatest minds in the game, Uncle Weezy. So, kicking off the night, I got the first underdog in the first fight of the night, Yohan Lainez to defeat Darian Weeks. I think he's going to do it by knockout, which is, one of his win conditions. He has been to decision before, and at plus 110, I have a unit on him. Yohan Lainez is actually just the more dangerous guy in this fight over Darian Weeks. Weeks is a very good generalist. He's 0-2 in the UFC currently, and he gets hit quite a bit at boxing range, which is where Yohan Lainez thrives. So Yohan Lainez also does wrestle. Don't be sleeping on that fact. He does often go for takedowns, offensive submissions as well. Back in his CFFC career, so he's had 1 fight in the UFC, 1 knockout on the Contender Series, and he had that loss against Gabe Green, a second round TKO last time he was out. But his cardio could be improved, but what really could be improved is him not loading up on all of his strikes 150%. So after his first professional slip up, I think Yohan Lainez is a pretty trustworthy underdog to fix that mistake in his game. Show a little bit more diversity to his skills and actually get this one done. I still think he does finish Darian Weeks, though, but a decision wouldn't surprise me. So moving on to the second one of the night, Healy Alatang at minus 160 on the money line. I paid the price to win 1 unit on this. Healy Alatang is a wrestler first. This Chinese prospect is a freestyle wrestler. Then he went to MMA, got the Muay Thai going, and he's a very good striker as well. Very durable. Will often, get hit and then return in return. I mean, he's got a good chin. He faced Dana Batgary in his debut, who's a very powerful guy at this weight class. And, Healy Alatang up at 135, taking on Chad and Hellinger, who's got pretty lacking takedown defense. So I think Healy Alatang can be trustworthy in this spot to wrestle and mix in, some control time along with his effective striking. He showed pretty good durability so far. I think that's the only path to victory for Chad and Hellinger, is to define at least 2 out of 3 rounds with, some significant strikes. Or just get Healy Alatang out of there, altogether. But I don't think that's very likely. And I think for the price tag of minus 160, he might be at around minus 175 or so now. I would still be able to play that, But I got in early minus 160, paying 1.6 units to win that 1 unit in return. Up next, somebody that, speaking of trustworthy guys to lay your money on, not the best, Jamie Pickett, but the price tag and his opponent really make this for me. Minus 130 on the money line. I paid 1.5 units on this one. I like Jamie Pickett's size, his cardio. At 185, he's a very big guy with an 80-inch reach. He's just more dangerous as well. We haven't really been seeing that. He's faced some stiff competition, guys who can out-wrestle him. On the Dana White Contender Series, Punahele Soriano was able to out-wrestle him. We're looking most recently in his last loss against Kyle Daukaus. Very big guy, just like Jamie Pickett, able to have the grappling advantage in that fight. But this time Jamie Pickett's facing a guy who is in his second stint in the octagon, or not second stint, his second walk to the octagon. Denis Tululin, who's a Russian over from the M1 scene. Not the best record. He came in short notice against Kizriev in his last fight and, basically gassed out early in round 1. And then by round 2, he was just a sitting duck to get submitted. So I'd say Jamie Pickett can really employ the same game plan as Kizriev did on Tululin. He's got a very big frame. He leans on his opponents on the cage, gets the body lock takedown. I think he'll have no trouble doing that against Tululin. Tululin is a power puncher. He's going to have to close the distance against Jamie Pickett, get past the reach advantage, which he can do, but I think he's going to have to do it very early in round 1. Otherwise, his chances of winning the fight go down to, very negligible. I think Jamie Pickett is a guy who can win this fight early or late, and could win a decision. I think he does get him out of there inside the distance, does Jamie Pickett, but I'd rather just pay the price in the money line at minus 130 for the guy with more experience, a better path to victory here, and just a more dangerous guy. So I got Pickett here over Tululin. Hakeem Dawodu is my next money line pick at minus 211 on the money line. I didn't get the best price on that one. I'm not sure where it's at now, but I paid the price to win 1 unit over Julian Erosa, who's on his 3rd stint in the octagon. Erosa's been cut a couple of times. He's a very good finisher, is Erosa. He does get finished in return, though. He's not a great wrestler to set up his awesome submission game. He's got a very good Darce choke as one of his signature moves. If you get in a scramble on the ground with Erosa, you're in trouble. He can really figure things out there, even come back from the jaws of defeat as we saw against Charles Jourdain. But, Hakeem Dawodu, that's the game he's played his entire MMA career. A lot of finishes in the World Series of Fighting, not so many in the UFC, but he's a guy where he's going to win the decision or knock you out with his beautiful Muay Thai style, unless you can out-wrestle him. And his fights are often a balance of that, right? Are the judges going to weigh his effective striking or the wrestling against him? He's gotten pretty good at preparing for wrestling-heavy game plan opponents. Erosa's not one of those guys. Erosa's a guy who's known for not being able to get the fight where he needs to unless there's some crazy transition or scramble. I think Erosa has really overperformed in a lot of spots here, and I like this price tag on Dawodu. Once again, I think Dawodu is primed for a finish here, but since he's been on a trend of getting decision wins, I'll just take the money line at minus 211 to win a unit. My next one is up on the main card, Kevin Holland. The money line at minus 190 over Daniel Rodriguez. This is just really a spot where I could see Holland being the more durable, the more accurate striker. He's got the 7-inch reach advantage as well. He's used to being up at 185 as Kevin Holland. This is a catchweight bout at 180 since they had to move this fight onto this card. Daniel Rodriguez is a 170 guy, and the difference here really is the level of competition, right? You're looking at Kevin Holland fighting ranked guys, some title challengers up at 185, now down at 170. He is 2-0. And 2 finishes in round 2 at that over Tim Means and Cowboy Alex Oliveira. So, look, Kevin Holland has fought guys, even though he lost, like Derek Brunson, Vettori, over 5 rounds and has not gotten finished. I do like Daniel Rodriguez's boxing up close, but I think he's going to struggle with the rangy strikes of Kevin Holland. D-Rod's only loss in the UFC was against Nicholas Dalby, who was able to beat him in a close fight off of just that, long, rangy, effective strikes, kicks that flustered him, unorthodox striking from different angles, and he was able to gain respect over Daniel Rodriguez with that type of, rangy striking. So if Nicholas Dalby's striking is going to give issues to Daniel Rodriguez, Kevin Holland is very live for a finish here, or just a decision win. D-Rod is very durable. The only time he's been in trouble in the UFC was when he got dropped and almost knocked out by Dwight Grant. So he was able to have a very good round 1 comeback in that fight, but he has been dropped a couple of times. So give me Kevin Holland here, 1.9 units to win 1. And my last money line is Irene Aldana taking on Macy Chiasson. I got in early on this one. Irene Aldana minus 160 on the money line is what I got. I put 2 units on it. And I believe that the money line has not moved that much. She might be around minus 180, minus 190 or so. And I think it's warranted. I think you can still play this up to like minus 200 or so. I think this is very much like the last fight, except for not really. It's the same in the fact that Irene Aldana has a way better resume, a way better level of competition she's fought, even though she's lost to a few of them, right? Aldana is losing to Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington in a split decision. Chukagian early on in a split decision. So these are like very good, impressive, pieces of experience on her resume. She's finishing out cold Ketlin Vieira. She's, finishing Yana Kunitskaya, dropped her and then finished her up with ground strikes. She's got a very vicious left hook, does Aldana. Way better level of competition she's fought than Macy Chiasson, who's losing to Lena Landsberg, who's beating Shayna Young, beating Sarah Mraz. I mean, these are not the most, what's her face that is super old? Marion Renault, so she's beating these level of competition. Her most impressive one was last time out against Norma Dumont. She did get a split decision win. Macy Chiasson wants to stall you against the cage and win minutes that way, throw a couple pitter-patter strikes when you're on the cage, maybe take you down, but sometimes Chiasson ends up on bottom position when she tries to go for that takedown. So I just think Irene Aldana is good enough to keep this on the feet. She knows how to circle off the cage at this point. She knows how to defend takedowns against the likes of Macy Chiasson. So this is another spot. I could see Aldana getting a knockout here, honestly. It's like plus 400 something. I'm not going to bank on that, though. I think that the minus 160 money line I got, or anything under minus 200, is a pretty good value bet over a much worse opponent. So those are the money lines, all 6 of them. 5 favorites, only 1 underdog this week on the money lines. Just not a lot of good ones, We'll try to, weave that into some props here. And you'll find out what I mean in a second when I say Johnny Walker, round 1 knockout. Instead of taking Johnny Walker's money line at like plus 190 or so over Ian Kuntalaba, I like his round 1 knockout prop at plus 650. Johnny Walker is a knockout threat. He's only had 1 decision win. He's had 15 knockouts, however, and 13 of those 15 are in round 1. So I like that prop, So I put a fifth of a unit on that, 0.2 units on it at plus 650. Ian Kuntalaba, his last 3 losses in the UFC have all been in round 1 as well. He can be one of these wild man strikers who throws from the hip, Ken Kuntalaba. He can fight with a lot of emotion, be very exciting, but also be at risk of getting knocked out the way he was against Magomed Ankalaev. In both of their fights, he lost in round 1. Now, the first fight they had was very odd. He was kind of acting like he was wobbled, that he wasn't quite out. But either way, he was getting hit in round 1 by Magomed Ankalaev. So that southpaw striking does give him issue. Johnny Walker known to strike out of that stance as well. So it's a spot where I don't want to get behind the money line because Kuntalaba is very dangerous. I am picking Walker to win. I think he does win. But Kuntalaba is a guy that could also get this knockout too. Johnny Walker is quite a glass cannon. So just a small sprinkle on that round 1 KO prop. I do like Jailton Almeida versus Anton Turkey, the pleasure man, who's coming in here on short notice at a plus 220 heavyweight catch weight. Under 1.5 at minus 135. I mean, Jailton Almeida, I'll get into the stats again. All of his 16 wins for Jailton Almeida are under 1.5, and one of his only losses is also under 1.5. Same with Anton Turkey. 7 of his 8 wins are under 1.5. So this is a spot where the time props kind of write themselves here. It's only minus 135. It's favored to go under, and I usually don't play those, but I like this one. I could see either guy coming out here very quickly and starting. Anton Turkey is a fast starter. He's a very wacky guy, kind of like Johnny Walker in a way. He can throw spinning back fists, get wild with it, go for the offensive wrestling as well. But I think Jailton Almeida is going to be way too strong. I think Almeida throws a front kick to the body, shoots for the double leg, takes him down, either ground and pounds him with hammer fists or gets a choke. And I think it happens before 2 minutes and 31 seconds of round 2. So I like that prop. Even though I'm not one to play unders, this is one I'm playing. Another one in the main event of the night. Both of these props are on Chimaev and Diaz. I have Khamzat Chimaev, Nate Diaz, under 1.5, this time at plus money, plus 135 on the money line. I think they're giving us plus money there because of the perceived durability of Nate Diaz over the years, the perceived cardio of Nate Diaz. I don't think any of that comes into play here, especially when you consider that, Khamzat Chimaev, 8 of his wins are round 1 finishes. His last fight was his only one. He's had 10 fights that have all ended under 1.5. His last fight against Gilbert Burns was the only one that actually went over 1.5 and went to decision. Nate Diaz in 2022 is no Gilbert Burns. He will get walked through. Khamzat Chimaev, knockout at minus 150. I've got 1.5 units on that and 1 unit on the under 1.5. Again, Chimaev, 8 round 1 finishes, 2 round 2 finishes. Even if he decides to play with his food a bit and that under 1.5 does not cash for some reason, you can still catch that KO. So I think he just grounds Nate Diaz and then just pounds his face in. I don't think he tinkers with a submission in this fight. And the under 1.5 also covers the Tom Aspinall effect of the first kick that Chimaev throws, he tears his knee or something, It'll cover that weird Black Swan event as well, early on in the fight at least. So those are the props. There is one parlay I do have. It's a prop parlay. I do have, what was it now? It was all of the fights that I think are going to finish inside the distance. They're all juiced. I just put 1 unit on the minus 108 prop parlay combined odds. That's Chimaev versus Diaz, Almeida, Anton Turkali, and Walker Kutalaba. Fight does not go for all 3 of those. You're getting minus 108 odds. I put 1 unit on that. Just a fun way to tie some of those together. So breaking my parlay rule, but it's just for a fun prop one. So not too much invested on that. I don't think any of those fights see the scorecard. So, all right, you guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe. That's all my betting action for this card. Very money line heavy. Let's try to keep this 5-event win streak going to 6. And yeah, check out that live stream I did with Uncle Wheezy MMA last night. Check out my full card breakdown if you want further in-depth picks for all 13 of the fights, analysis on all 26 fighters. That one goes pretty in-depth that I did on Sunday night. Also check me out on WizBets channel. WizBets is a very well-known gambler of all types of sports on Twitter. He does have a YouTube page. He did a interview with Askar Mozarov a while ago, and now he's starting a new show on Thursdays where he just interviews different handicappers in the space. I'll be his guest on there. Last week they had Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast, so I've got a big act to follow there, but I'll try my best. 9 p.m. Pacific time on WizBets channel. Also this weekend on Blood Money MMA Bets, my guy Cody, I'll be doing a pre-fight stream with him as a guest on his show with Johnny K. Picks and the Any Action Sportscast. That's about 2 hours before the fights kick off on Saturday. So go and check out those channels I mentioned. Subscribe, tell them Addicted to Combat sent you, and I will talk to you guys next time. Cheers.